She moved into a dream home, then found photos of herself already living there. On March 14, 2024, a woman named Claire Rothman unlocked the front door of her new rental home in Lewiston, Maine, and found a Polaroid photo on the kitchen counter. It was dated 3 weeks earlier. In the photo, she was asleep on a couch she had never seen before, in a room she had never been in, wearing pajamas she didn't own yet. She was standing in that exact room right now. The day Claire moved into 42 Ashmont Drive, the sky was the color of old cement. Heavy. So, the kind of March afternoon in northern Maine where the cold doesn't bite, it just sits on your chest and waits. She'd been searching for months. After her divorce was finalized in January, Claire wanted something quiet. Something far from the arguments, the lawyers, the suffocating weight of a marriage that had died years before anyone admitted it. She was 34, a remote copy editor for a textbook publisher, and she could work from anywhere. Lewiston wasn't glamorous, but it was affordable. Anonymous. Perfect. The landlord, Roger Hastings, was in his late 60s. Soft-spoken. A little too eager to rent the place out. He met her outside the house on move-in day, hands stuffed in the pockets of a canvas jacket that smelled faintly of motor oil and cigarettes. "You're gonna love it here," he said, handing her the keys. 2 brass keys on a ring with a small wooden tag that read "Home Sweet Home" in faded cursive. Quiet street. Good bones. Last tenant left in kind of a hurry, but don't let that spook you. Claire smiled politely. "Why'd they leave?" Roger shrugged. "Job transfer, I think. Didn't say much. Left some stuff behind, actually. I boxed it up. It's in the basement if you want it. Otherwise I'll toss it next week." She nodded. She didn't care. She just wanted to be inside. Alone. The house was small. A 2-bedroom Cape Cod with white siding and black shutters, tucked at the end of a dead-end street lined with bare trees. The neighbors were spread out, old couples mostly. People who kept to themselves. The driveway was gravel. The front porch had 2 rocking chairs that nobody had sat in for a long time. Inside, the air smelled like lemon cleaner and something else. Something stale underneath. Like old newspapers left in a damp drawer. The living room was narrow with beige carpet and a brick fireplace. The kitchen had chipped yellow tile and a window over the sink that looked out onto a backyard enclosed by a tall wooden fence. Upstairs, the bedrooms were small and plain. The bathroom had a clawfoot tub and a mirror with a crack in the corner that looked like a spider's leg. It wasn't beautiful, but it was hers. Claire spent the afternoon unpacking. She set up her laptop on the kitchen table, hung her clothes in the bedroom closet, made the bed with the navy blue sheets she bought at Target the week before. By evening, the house felt less empty, almost comfortable. She ordered Thai food and ate it standing at the counter, scrolling through her phone. Her ex-husband had texted her that morning, something about needing to sign more paperwork. She didn't respond. She was done responding. Around 9 p.m., she poured herself a glass of wine and sat on the couch in the living room. The one piece of furniture the landlord had left behind. It was old, floral print, sagging cushions, but it worked. She turned on the TV, some true crime show she wasn't really watching, and let herself sink into the quiet. That's when she saw it. At first, she thought it was a receipt. A scrap of paper someone had left behind. It was sitting on the kitchen counter, near the microwave, perfectly centered. She walked over, curious. It was a Polaroid. The photo was slightly faded, the colors muted in that way Polaroids get after a few weeks. It showed the living room, the couch she was just sitting on, the TV in the same spot, the same lamp in the corner. And on the couch, lying on her side with her knees tucked up, was a woman, asleep, wearing gray cotton pajamas. Claire's breath caught. The woman in the photo was her. She picked up the Polaroid with trembling hands, turned it over. On the back, in blue ink, someone had written, February 21st, 2024, 10:47 p.m. 3 weeks ago. Claire's heart slammed against her ribs. She looked at the couch, at the room, at the exact angle the photo had been taken from, near the doorway to the kitchen, just a few feet from where she was standing now. She hadn't been here 3 weeks ago. She hadn't even seen this house 3 weeks ago. Her lease started today, March 14th. She turned the photo back over, stared at herself, at the pajamas she was wearing in the picture. Her stomach dropped. She knew those pajamas. She'd bought them 2 days ago. The basement. Claire didn't sleep that night. She sat on the couch, the same couch from the photo, with every light in the house blazing. The Polaroid was on the coffee table in front of her, face down. She couldn't look at it anymore, but she couldn't throw it away either. It felt like evidence of what she didn't know. By 3 a.m., she'd convinced herself there had to be a rational explanation. Maybe the previous tenant looked like her. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe the date on the back was wrong, someone's idea of a joke or a mistake. Maybe the pajamas just looked similar. But she knew they weren't similar. They were identical. The same brand. The same gray cotton with the small white piping along the collar. She'd ordered them online from Target on March 12th. They'd arrived the day before she moved in. She'd never owned a pair like them before. She checked the Target app on her phone, scrolling back through her order history just to be sure. There it was. Order placed March 12, 2024. Delivered March 13, 2024. The photo was dated February 21st, 3 weeks earlier. When the sun finally came up, pale and cold through the living room window, Claire felt like she was moving through water. Everything was slower, heavier. She made coffee with shaking hands and sat at the kitchen table, staring at the back door. She thought about calling someone. Her sister. Her best friend Maggie. Even Roger, the landlord. But what would she say? I found a picture of myself in a house I've never been in, wearing clothes I didn't own yet. They'd think she was losing it. Maybe she was. She decided to go to the basement. Roger had mentioned the previous tenant left some things behind. Maybe there was something down there, a clue, an explanation, anything that made sense. She hadn't been down there yet. Hadn't even opened the basement door. It was in the kitchen next to the pantry. A narrow wooden door with a brass knob that felt cold even though the heat was on. Claire opened it slowly. The hinges creaked. A set of steep, unfinished stairs disappeared into darkness below. She flipped the light switch. A single bulb at the bottom of the stairs flickered on, dim and yellow. The air that rose up from below smelled like damp concrete and something sour. Something organic. Claire descended slowly, gripping the wooden railing. The stairs groaned under her weight. The basement was unfinished. Bare concrete floors, exposed beams, a low ceiling. In the far corner, near an old oil furnace, there were 3 cardboard boxes stacked on top of each other. The words tenant, Rothman were written on the side in black marker. Her last name. Her heart kicked hard. She walked over and opened the top box. Inside were clothes. Women's clothes. A few sweaters, some jeans, a pair of running shoes. Normal stuff. Nothing strange. Claire pulled out a gray hoodie and held it up. It was her size. Medium. She set it aside and opened the second box. Books. Novels mostly. A few self-help titles. The Gifts of Imperfection. Atomic Habits. Maybe you should talk to someone. Claire owned 2 of these books. She'd left them at her ex-husband's place when she moved out. But these weren't hers. The covers were different editions. The spines were more worn. She opened the third box. And froze. Inside were more Polaroids. Dozens of them. All of her. Claire's hands went numb. She pulled out the first photo. It showed her standing in the kitchen, pouring coffee. Morning light coming through the window. She was wearing a white t-shirt and black leggings. The date on the back read February 18, 2024. She pulled out another. Her sitting at the kitchen table working on her laptop. Taken from behind, through the window. Dated February 23, 2024. Another. Her walking up the driveway carrying a bag of groceries. Dated February 25, 2024. Another. Her asleep in the upstairs bedroom, lying on her side facing the camera. The covers pulled up to her chin. Dated March 1, 2024. Claire dropped the photo. Her breathing came fast and shallow. Every single picture was of her. In this house. Doing things she had never done. On dates before she'd ever been here. She grabbed the box and dumped it out onto the concrete floor. Polaroids scattered everywhere. Dozens of them, maybe 50 or more. All of her. Cooking. Sleeping. Sitting on the couch. Standing at the window. Brushing her teeth. Getting dressed. Living a life she hadn't lived. Her vision blurred. She felt like she was going to be sick. And then she saw it. At the bottom of the pile, there was one photo that was different. It wasn't a Polaroid. It was a printed photograph. Glossy. Professional quality. It showed the living room, but the angle was strange, high up, looking down from the corner of the ceiling near the doorway. It was a surveillance photo. And in the bottom right corner there was a timestamp. February 28, 2024, 11:34 p.m. Beneath the timestamp in small white text were the words, Unit 42A ///live feed. Claire's legs gave out. She sank to the floor, her back against the concrete wall, staring at the photo in her hands. Live feed. Someone had been watching. Someone had cameras in this house. She looked up at the ceiling, at the corners of the basement, at the seams where the walls met the beams. She couldn't see anything. No lenses, no wires. But that didn't mean they weren't there. She thought about the couch, the bedroom, the bathroom, the kitchen, every room, every moment. Her skin crawled. Claire scrambled to her feet and ran back upstairs, taking the steps 2 at a time. She slammed the basement door shut and stood in the kitchen, breathing hard, her pulse hammering in her ears. She grabbed her phone and dialed Roger's number. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. Roger, it's Claire Rothman. I need you to call me back right now. There's something in the basement. Photos. Cameras. I don't know what's going on, but I need you to explain this to me. Call me back. She hung up. Waited. 5 minutes. 10. Nothing. She called again. Voicemail. She tried a 3rd time. Voicemail. Claire walked into the living room and stood in the center of the space, turning slowly, scanning every corner, every surface. She looked at the smoke detector on the ceiling, the air vent near the floor, the clock on the wall, the lamp, the picture frames. She didn't know what she was looking for, but she knew it was there, watching. And then her phone buzzed. A text message. Unknown number. Read. You shouldn't have gone down there. Claire's hands went ice cold. She stared at the screen. The message had no name attached, just a number she didn't recognize. She started to type a response. Who is this? But before she could hit send, another message came through. A photo. It took a moment for it to load. When it did, Claire's stomach turned inside out. It was a picture of her. Right now. Standing in the living room. Holding her phone. Staring at the screen. Taken from above. The woman in the mirror. Claire dropped the phone. It hit the carpet with a dull thud, screen still glowing. She didn't pick it up. She couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Her eyes swept the ceiling, wild and frantic, searching for the lens she knew was there. Somewhere. Watching. She backed toward the front door, her shoulder blades pressed against the wall, her heart slamming so hard she thought it might crack a rib. She reached behind her, fumbling for the doorknob, but her hands were shaking too badly. She couldn't get a grip. Another buzz. Her phone still on the floor. She didn't want to look, but she had to. She crouched down, grabbed it, and turned the screen toward her. Another message. Don't leave. We're not finished yet. Claire ran. She tore open the front door and burst onto the porch, gasping in the cold March air like she'd been drowning. The street was empty. No cars. No people. Just rows of silent houses with dark windows and bare trees standing like skeletons against the gray sky. She ran down the driveway, gravel crunching under her feet, and stopped at the edge of the road. She looked back at the house. 42 Ashmont Drive. White siding. Black shutters. 2 rocking chairs on the porch, still and empty. It looked normal. It looked like every other house on the street. But she could feel it. Watching. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Her fingers were numb. It took 3 tries to get the numbers right. 911, what's your emergency? Claire's voice cracked. She swallowed hard. I need help. Someone's been watching me. There are cameras in my house. I'm getting messages. Photos of me. Right now. I think someone's inside. Okay, ma'am, slow down. What's your location? 42 Ashmont Drive. Lewiston. I just moved in today and I found... Are you in danger right now? Are you inside the residence? No. I'm outside. I ran out. But they're still sending me messages. They're watching me right now. There was a pause. The dispatcher's voice stayed calm, mechanical. Officers are on the way. Stay on the line with me. Do not go back inside. Can you describe the person who's threatening you? I don't know who it is. I've never seen them. But they have photos. Dozens of them. From before I even moved in. They're dated weeks ago, but it's me. In this house. Wearing clothes I just bought. Another pause. Longer this time. Ma'am, are you sure the photos are of you? Claire's breath hitched. Yes, I'm sure. It's my face. My clothes. This house. Okay, stay where you are. Officers will be there in approximately 4 minutes. Claire stood at the end of the driveway, arms wrapped around herself, staring at the house. The front door was still open. She'd left it that way when she ran. She could see into the living room from where she stood. The couch, the lamp, the TV. Looked so normal. Her phone buzzed again. She almost didn't look, but she did. Another message. Same unknown number. You don't remember, do you? Claire's throat tightened. Her thumbs hovered over the keyboard. She typed, "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "You've been here before, Claire." Her pulse spiked. "No, I haven't." "Yes, you have. 3 months. November through January. You don't remember because you weren't supposed to." Claire stared at the screen. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely hold the phone. "What are you talking about?" The reply took longer this time. She watched the 3 dots pulse on the screen. And then, check the lease. Claire's mind raced. The lease. She'd signed it 2 weeks ago at Roger's office downtown. Standard 1-year rental agreement. She'd barely read it. Just skimmed the rent amount, the deposit, the move-in date. She hadn't noticed anything strange. But now, she opened her email on her phone, scrolling frantically through her inbox until she found the PDF Roger had sent her. She opened it. Scanned the first page. Lease agreement, 42 Ashmont Drive. Tenant, Claire Rothman. Start date, March 14, 2024. End date, March 14, 2025. Nothing unusual. She scrolled down. Terms and conditions. Security deposit. Pet policy. Maintenance requests. And then, at the bottom of page 3, in a section titled Additional Provisions, she saw it. A single line. Typed in smaller font. Easy to miss. Tenant acknowledges prior occupancy from November 1, 2023 to January 31, 2024 under Project Recall, and consents to memory integration testing as outlined in Addendum C. Claire's vision blurred. Prior occupancy. Memory integration testing. Project Recall. She scrolled down looking for Addendum C. It wasn't there. A police cruiser pulled onto the street, lights flashing but no siren. Claire waved it down, stumbling toward the curb. 2 officers got out, one older, mid-50s with a gray mustache, the other younger, maybe 30, with sharp eyes and a hand on his belt. "You the one who called?" the older officer asked. "Yes, I'm Claire Rothman. I live here. Someone's been watching me. There are cameras, photos, messages." She held up her phone, but her hands were shaking so badly the screen just blurred. The younger officer stepped forward. "Can you show me the messages?" Claire unlocked her phone and pulled up the conversation. The photos. The text. The officer looked at the screen. His expression didn't change. "Who's this number registered to?" he asked. "I don't know. It just says unknown." The older officer walked up the driveway toward the house, scanning the windows. "Anyone else live here with you?" "No, just me. I moved in today." "And you found these photos in the basement?" "Yes, and cameras. Or evidence of cameras. Surveillance. Look." She pulled up the photo with a timestamp. Unit 42A // live feed. "This is from inside the house. Someone's been recording me." The officer studied the photo. Then he looked at her. His face was unreadable. "Ma'am, we're going to go inside and check things out. You stay here." Claire watched as both officers entered the house. She stood alone on the sidewalk, shivering, her arms wrapped tight around her chest. Minutes passed. 5, 10. Finally, the older officer came back out. He walked slowly. His expression was calm. Too calm. "We checked the whole house," he said. "No signs of forced entry. No cameras that we could find. No one inside." "What about the basement? The boxes? The photos?" "We saw the boxes. There's some personal items. Clothes, books, but no photos, ma'am." Claire's stomach dropped. "What do you mean no photos?" "I dumped them on the floor. There were dozens of them. There's nothing on the floor. We checked." "That's impossible. I saw them. I held them." The younger officer came out behind him. "We did find something, though." He was holding a piece of paper. A document. He handed it to Claire. It was a hospital discharge form. Patient, Claire Rothman. Facility, Northern Maine Medical Center, Psychiatric Unit. Admission date, November 3, 2023. Discharge date, January 29, 2024. Diagnosis: dissociative fugue/memory loss. Notes: patient experienced 3-month amnesic episode following acute psychological trauma. Participation in experimental memory recovery program, Project Recall, authorized by patient consent. Outpatient follow-up required. Claire's legs buckled. She stared at the paper, at her name, at the dates, November through January. 3 months. Gone. "Ma'am, do you remember being in the hospital?" the older officer asked gently. Claire shook her head. Her mouth moved but no sound came out. "It says here you were part of a memory recovery program. Project Recall. Do you remember that?" She didn't. She didn't remember any of it. The officer's radio crackled. A voice came through, distorted. He lifted it to his mouth. "Copy that. We're clear here." He looked back at Claire. "Is there someone we can call? Family? A friend?" Claire couldn't answer. She was staring at the house, at the open front door, at the living room beyond. And then she saw it. In the window. Just for a second. A figure. Standing in the corner near the doorway. Watching her. It looked exactly like her. The younger officer followed her gaze. "What is it?" "There's someone in the window." He turned. "I don't see anyone." She was just there. "Ma'am, we cleared the house. There's no one inside." But Claire knew what she saw. She knew. Her phone buzzed one last time. She looked down. A final message. "Welcome home, Claire." And beneath it, a photo. Taken from inside the house. Looking out through the window. At her. Standing on the sidewalk. Right now. Next to the officers. In the bottom corner of the image, barely visible, was a reflection in the glass. A woman standing behind the camera. Wearing gray pajamas. With Claire's face. If you thought this story was terrifying, wait until you hear what happened in the next one. Subscribe before it drops. Because some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. And some versions of yourself were never meant to meet.